Okay, welcome to Earth Science, everybody. So, we did gradients, should have done those already with that little worksheet over there. Now we're going to do profiles, which is a side view of what this hill like. So one way to think about it is, hey, if I was standing right here, if that was the top of my head, if I had a functioning pencil, looking that way, what would this hill look like? All right, so, I mean, we loosely want to get pretty good at recognizing that just off of a map, but we're going to have to be very careful and accurate in plotting that using another one of these little pieces of paper onto one of these little scales right here. So here's the process, and I'm guessing for some of us this is going to take multiple watches of this video. Don't expect this one just to like make sense right away. It's kind of a tricky process. So what we're going to do is lay a piece of paper right across where they're asking us to do it. This question said make a profile from A to B. They also pre-printed down here A and B. So we are going to do that. Accuracy, accuracy, accuracy. This is where you really have to like very carefully, like be more careful than you might normally be. And I'm going to try to do this with one hand. Very carefully and closely make marks each place where this piece of paper touches one of these contour lines. And I think it's a good idea to mark that that one was B and that that one was A. Okay, so that gets us part of the way there. Another thing we got to do is number those though. And if you notice, when the piece of paper was like this, I was covering up the numbers. Not very much help. So I'm going to take that away and say, oh, okay, this one said 600 on it. I think it's handy to write that right there. It helps you. There's a 500 down here, but that doesn't really help us out too much. We also hopefully know a contour interval. We do. It's 20. So figuring out that this is 600, if we go up by 20s to the top of the hill, 620, 640. All right, so what I'm going to do is put my piece of paper back very carefully and accurately right on there. Now we're going to start to mark what these values are. The 600 actually isn't even on our profile, but this one is. So at B, it was 620. See that? This might seem time consuming and you might just say shortcut, I'll just and I'll remember. Excuse me. Don't do that. Take a minute. Like this process is going to get you there. This is how you're going to get your points. So that one's 640. If you see this line, it loops up around. It's 640 right there as well. The 640 repeats. And you're going to have to think about whether you're going uphill, downhill. You got to think about these things. It's not always going to be easy. So where are we? If that's 600, that's 620. That 620 comes around and it's also right there, 620. Now we're going down by 20s. That one's 600. I already had that label. Then we're going to go down by another 20, 580. Down by another 20, 560. Down by another 20, 540. And finally down to 520. All right. I expect to see this from each of you. This doesn't mean one partner makes a slip of paper and hands it off. This is how it's done. They're going to get harder. We're going to do a lot of them. Get used to it. All right. Now, that's honestly the hardest part, being able to do that. Now what you're going to do is come down here, and that really becomes your x-axis. So you got two choices here. You can stick it to the bottom and just leave it there. What I like to do though is slide it around, and I'll show you that. So what I like to do, now this regent, this is right off of a regent, so I'm showing you like exactly what the expectations are going to be. This one already did the 520. Sometimes they do the endpoint, sometimes they don't. You're going to do two of them. There's the other one you're going to do on your own. There are no endpoints, so you got to be able to do that on your own. This one they did, so that's good news. So what I like to do is actually making sure that A stays on that line and B stays on that line. I like to slide it up and plot my points as I go. If you start going like, whoa, getting sloppy, I'm being exaggerative here, right? You wouldn't do that. But what people will do is like wander around a little bit. Don't. Be very, very careful. So put it right there. 520, that one's already marked. Put it to here. 540. Dot. Slide it up. 560, there's my 560 dot. And what this is doing is just making a side view of the hill. 580, 580 dot. Keep going up. 600 dot. Noting again that A is still on this line, B is still on this line. I like it. 620 dot. 620 is the other one that the Regents already gave us right there. Then we get up to 640 dot for that 640 dot for that 640. We had that value on there twice, so each one gets a dot. And as I pull this away, other than this one not being very dark, let's just darken that in a little bit. That looks great. That's exactly what we should see. Okay, last trick is to play connect the dots. Now, it's very important that you not go across one of these lines. If you go across one of these lines, you're saying you crossed that contour line, in which case there would have to be one up here on this map. You didn't. So don't cross unless you get to a dot. What I mean by that, let's show how not to do it. And this might be that, hey, I'm going too fast and I'm just being sloppy. This might mean that, whoop, you did something like that. That's a no, hard no. If there's not a dot, you cannot cross a line. Which is why it's also a good idea to use pencil, which I should have said at the beginning. Use pencil for this. Over to the dot, up to the dot, up to the dot, up to the dot. Now, we get to the top here. As we start to work more with topographic maps, you're going to realize like what these things kind of represent. This is a hill. Now, most of the hills you've seen in your life don't have a perfectly flat top. Here's a classic rookie mistake, is to play connect the dots very literally and go from here to here. That's also a no, a definite no. The Regents will take all of the points for doing all of this away if you do that. Okay? The proper way to do it, the simplest way I can state this rule, is that if there is a dot, you must cross the line. So there's a dot here, so I must cross the line. Now I get to another dot here, so I must cross the line. And this is going to give us our best estimate as to what that hilltop looks like. Okay, you see we go above, where's my finger? 640 a little bit, not as high as 660. That makes sense with what I see over here. 600, 620, 640. We go above 640 a little bit, but not as high as 660. If we did hit 660, we would need another circle. So I suppose another mistake, not as often made, would be to cross this line and go up and hit that one. That'd be another no. All right, so this is perfect other than a little bit of erasure here. Dot, 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 crossing the line, crossing the line, crossing the line, cross right there. There was a dot, it was scared a little bit. Crossed at that dot, came back down through that dot, giving us an accurate view and a very scaled view and a precise view of what this hill looks like. And we might be able to even note that, hey, it's a little steeper over here and a little flatter over here. Does that make sense? Yeah, it's a little steeper here where the lines are close together and a little flatter over here. That's where the value is in these things. And that's why the accuracy here is important. You can't just chuck dots wherever you feel like. I mean, I've had people through the years that like figure out those two dots and they're just like, nope, I'm done. And that's not going to work for you. Make sure that you get those dots in there very accurately using this piece of paper. What the Regents will give, I can show an answer key at some point, they'll give one that has little tiny circles on it that says all of the students' dots must be within these. So to get those, that's the deal. All right, looks like class is going to start. So that's the one I did. That should be done on your sheets. And you're going to show me you know how to do it by giving me another one right here. This one's easier. It doesn't have a hilltop. It's just going to be a straight up slope. But if you can give me that basic same process, you're going to have it. All right. Good luck, everybody.